I consume a lot of content weekly, and while I can easily be like the mass media and only share the most divisive things, I'd rather talk about what makes me stop the infinite scroll. You know, those interesting pieces of content that you just can't help from sharing. While the collection of article highlights will stay relatively within my punching distance of my normal subject matter, you will see some variety thrown in from week to week because I enjoy throwing a wrench at you to see if you can dodge it. Plus, I'm intensely curious about a ton of subject matter that's beyond the normal CPG industry. Such as this week, I began to nerd out on the statistics around early voting in the 2020 election. But I don't want to waste any more of your guys' time. This content series is really meant to be short and easy, digestible piece of content. So here are 5 of the most interesting things that I consumed over the last week. The first one is the Notorious B.I.G. dropped a new freestyle about Pepsi. Huh? Didn't Notorious B.I.G. die in 1997? You are definitely correct, but the freestyle in question, originally recorded at D&D Studios with DJ Enough in 1997, has never been officially released until now. It gives you a glimpse of Biggie's appreciation for the soda. While I'm sure you would like to hear me do a version of hip-hop karaoke, I think it would be a crime to not let you hear it straight from the late hip-hop legend himself.
Quick slam, tin can, whatever. Whether too cold or too hot, you got to keep Pepsi in the freezer. I keep a 3-liter for my crew. My girl like them diet drinks too. Other sodas taste the worst, I don't even converse. If you can't quench my thirst, what you in my fridge for? What you wanna live for? Life with the dry mouth, hot like the scout. Flash out to 12 ounce and renounce. Nothing can beat the P-E-P-S-I. Yes, I drink it constantly. Top it by the taste, tastes great. Let's fill it. Tell them Biggie said, drink it all, don't test me. Nothing else beats a Pepsi. If it is, let's see. I'm thirsty.
To mark the Notorious B.I.G.'s posthumous induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Pepsi just released a commercial featuring that freestyle from the rapper. In my opinion, as far as tracks go for a Pepsi commercial, they can't do much better than this one. The commercial even ends with a brief message about Biggie's upcoming induction to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It's important to note that when he is inducted, he'll become the second solo hip-hop artist to be included into the Hall of Fame, with the other being Tupac Shakur. The second most interesting piece of content that I consumed was around Burger King pranking its competitors on Halloween. I couldn't have an episode drop on Halloween Day and not have one highlight about the holiday, right? Every year around Halloween, people seek out the scariest places to test their courage. This year, Burger King decided to use this trend and reveal its list for the scariest places across the United States. And it isn't your traditional haunted houses. The BK Scary Places list names abandoned competitor burger chain restaurant locations in Dayton, Ohio, Houston, Texas, Birmingham, Alabama, McHenry, Illinois, and Johnston, Rhode Island. When Burger King was asked why these places were so scary, they answered that when they were open, they did not deliver the beloved flame-grilled taste. On some nights, you can even hear the sizzling screams of the flat top. What could be scarier than that? Burger King went on to say that while Halloween looks a bit different this year, they were embracing it in a way that keeps guest safety top of mind in current times, and they figured a good scare and a delicious reward of a flame-grilled Whopper was the perfect solution. The third most interesting piece of content that I consumed this week was around Nestle adding another key piece to becoming a personalized health leader. Nestle purchased Freshly. Who cares, right? I mean, just another large CPG conglomerate buying a fresh prepared meal delivery company. Though I would agree with you normally This particular situation could prove potentially much different. So let me explain my thesis a bit on why Nestle acquired Freshly. The world's largest food manufacturer already purchased a roughly 16% stake in Freshly in 2017 to evaluate and test the market. Nestle has been rapidly overhauling its portfolio to include healthier options. Freshly is focused on nutrition, touting its meals are naturally sweetened and less processed than prepared meals. Nestle has been expanding its reach into better for you brands and products that focus more on personalized nutrition. I believe Nestle's health science brands like Persona will eventually be connected within Freshly, so Nestle can provide personalized supplements and nutrition in one streamlined experience. Nestle said the deal combines its deep understanding of what and how people eat at home and its research and development capabilities within Freshly's highly specialized consumer analytics platform and distribution network. While most of what I'm mentioning won't be seen in market initially, expect Nestle to become the leading personalized health company with further mergers and acquisitions announcements in the next couple of years. The fourth piece of content that I found extremely interesting was around food and beverage categories and if they were winners or losers depending on the first 31 weeks of the coronavirus pandemic. Walking into a grocery store during the pandemic has been a different experience, especially at the beginning where a lot of shelves were unexpectedly cleared out while others were filled with unwanted products. As consumer lifestyles have shifted over the past 7 months, so have their shopping habits. More than 80% of consumers said that the pandemic pushed them to cook, consume, buy, and think about food differently. So what food and beverage categories ended up being the winners and losers for sales during the pandemic? Using data collected by Nielsen over the last 31 weeks, the 5 biggest winners were oat milk, which was up 212% year over year. This, to me, likely was not necessarily related to the pandemic shifts as this trend started pre-pandemic. Yeast was up 156%, as more people shifted to baking some of the items that were tough to find, and Americans had extra time on their hands to make some of the products instead of buying the packaged versions. Meat alternatives were up 129%. Again, I don't think this is fully related to the pandemic, but meat supplies were tight in many areas, and that drove to increased trialing and switching in some cases. Then number 4 and number 5 was crab up 82% and lobster up 75%. It seems these two are related to less eating out and consumers still being interested in consuming these proteins or wanting to find little ways to treat themselves when the world became chaotic. Now, the 5 losing categories were gum down 25%, mints down 24%. I guess there's less emphasis on your breath kicking when you're wearing a mask and not interacting with non-family members much on a daily basis. Now, dessert bars were down 22% and cupcakes were down 21%. To me, I'm assuming these two are attached together and related to bakery items that maybe are out of favor with shoppers that are turning to online and not necessarily considering these options. The last one's around performance nutrition bars, which were down 17%. The performance nutrition bars trend has been deeply covered within my content, but these ready-to-eat items are attached to consumer mobility, which are tied to on-the-go use occasions. Additionally, gyms were closed for long periods of the last 31 weeks, which has reduced the need for these products. The performance bar category overall saw sales slip throughout the quarantine, but it's my strong belief that long-term growth will be unaffected by these temporary declines. Now, talking about the performance nutrition bar category, kind of jump into my last most interesting piece of content that I read this week, and this is around Kind keeping the battle of the bars going with their competitor CLIF. With the launch of its energy bar and its Kind Energy Pledge campaign, Kind is firing another shot at its competitor CLIF. If you aren't familiar with the Battle of the Bars, here's a quick recap. In March of 2019, CLIF took out a full-page ad in the New York Times calling for Kind to go organic. Kind decided to fire back by unveiling a 30-second ad pointing out the amount of brown rice syrup in the CLIF bars. This latest effort keys in on research that found that CLIF bar consumers are not eating the bars before physical activity as intended and are instead eating them like a regular snack. However, energy bars tend to be larger and higher in calories than other snack bars because they are meant to be consumed before exercise. While most ready-to-eat formats in the functional CPG category are in fact trying to get more consumers to think about them as healthy at-home snacks in the near term, it seems Kind is looking to attach themselves to a more targeted subset of customers this pandemic. As part of the push, Kind is positioning itself as a less sweet alternative. By giving 1,000 people $100 for exercise expenses in the Kind Energy Pledge campaign, Kind can tap into the at-home exercise trend that has accelerated due to the coronavirus pandemic. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed a few highlights around the most interesting piece of content that I read. I'd love to hear what you read and you found most interesting this week. So make sure you guys are commenting on this content or reaching out to me on any of my social media platforms.
Thank you so much for watching this video. If you want to help support me, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up button on this video. If this is the first time you've been introduced to my videos, would love for you guys to be a part of my community by subscribing to my channel. I upload several videos just like this weekly. And if you guys want to connect further outside of this platform, I do include all of my social media links down below. I just want to thank you guys again for your time. Hopefully I gave you some value in return, and we'll see you guys on the next video.